Yo there guys, this is Cob and this video is going to be a basic guide to reforging, gemming, specking and glyphing your Destruction Warlock in patch 5.4. I'm pretty sure we all know the main changes already, so we're just going to have the briefest overview to start out with as a kind of reminder of the biggest changes coming up in 5.4. Then after that we'll get into the specs and glyphs and all that good stuff for arenas and battlegrounds. Alright, so the first change across the board that I have to mention is that everyone now has 72% baseline resilience, and by equipping 2 PvP trinkets, you get a further bonus of that, which drives it up to nearly 75% baseline damage mitigation. This is a retarded number and it looks awful, but this has been done because our arena gear is being upgraded to the next tier, which means that we're getting more intellect as well as secondary stats such as crit and mastery. So this resilience increase is just to counteract the item levels rising in PvP with the new season, and that is all. After playing on the PTR, I can say that Destro's damage doesn't feel any less than it is right now on the live realm, so I just wanted to clear that up because a lot of people were really worried about this resilience increase, and it really is just to cancel out the gear becoming stronger. Now, this first change is the change that made every Destro lock want to cry. Kil'jaeden's Cunning has been nerfed and tweaked and is now settled on the tooltip, which basically reads that we can cast Incinerates while moving, and this is a huge nerf compared to what the talent was. Some people think that it needed this nerf and some people don't. However, I still think a lot of people overreacted to this nerf, myself included. I've been playing for a while now without Kil'jaeden's Cunning on the live servers. Things don't feel as smooth, but not having this talent in its old form definitely does not break us. Next up, Fell Flame no longer increases our Immolate's duration, and this is going to reduce our sustained damage for sure. Reapplying Immolate to a target over and over might not even be worth it in some cases, but honestly this just feels like an annoying change more than anything. It's for sure that both of these changes aren't very nice, so now we're going to get on to the good stuff. We have Howl of Terror as a baseline ability now, and I knew that this change was good. I don't think I realized how good it was though. After playing some games with Sophie on the PTR last night, I was amazed at how much control I felt I had. Being able to Howl and Death Coil 2 targets in 2v2 arenas, for example, is amazing, and though I haven't tested it in 3v3 yet, I'm sure it's going to be very strong there too. Next up we have Archimonde's Darkness. This is the new 90 talent, which gives your Dark Soul spell 2 charges. You can see I've popped it here against Dekora in this duel, and right after this one ends I can pop another one, and the juicy thing is that the first Dark Soul cooldown has been ticking off ever since I popped it, so I'll be able to use Dark Soul again in around 1 minute and 20 seconds. This is an incredibly strong talent, and to me this pretty much blows Kil'jaeden's Cunning out of the water. It's an amazing talent we are all going to have a lot of fun using. This last change is more recent, a 15% damage buff to Chaos Bolt. Now a lot of people are worried that the 72% baseline resilience will just cancel this buff out, but as we now know, the new gear and the damage increase that gear is going to give us already pretty much cancel out this resilience increase. So this damage buff to Chaos Bolt is just that, and if you've played on the PTR you'll know what I'm talking about. Chaos Bolt once again brings the pain like it should do. We're not talking about like it used to at the start of MOP when you could 180k someone, but it's definitely got its balls back. Now these aren't all of the changes, but these are definitely the main ones for Destruction, and I have to say I'm not worried at all about the upcoming patch. Losing mobility from not having Kil'jaeden's Cunning is bad, but having 2 Dark Souls and a baseline Howl of Terror is a trade that I would make any day. Our control in arenas is going to be stepped up a notch, and with Archimonde's Darkness we're going to find ourselves with a Dark Soul ready to use pretty much any time we could really use one. This definitely has me excited, and I honestly hope you guys are as optimistic as I am. Maybe you all think I'm crazy, I don't know. I feel like it's time for a discussion in the comments, but for now let's get into the specking side of things. Now this first spec is a Battleground spec for Destro based around Succubus gameplay, which is my preferred style. Dark Regen is still by far the best talent on the first tier as always. The next tier is between Demonic Breath, Mortal Coil and Shadow Fury, and I've gone with Shadow Fury for the stun for a couple of reasons. In BGs, I either play alone or I don't find myself caring so much if I trigger DRs on the stuns of my teammates. It's also arguably better than Coil for group fights, as it can hit a huge amount of targets if placed correctly. It has a shorter cooldown than Coil, and combining Shadow Fury and Howl of Terror now for group fights will give you insane control over multiple targets. Demonic Breath, by the way, can be regarded as generally useless. A 20-second cooldown movement slow that requires close range to use is actually quite bad considering we already have Conflagrate to slow people. Soul Link was improved to heal 3% of the damage that you deal, but I'm not sure that this works out so well for Destro. We don't deal much sustained damage at all, especially when being trained, so the healing we get out of this compared to the healing an Affliction Warlock might get out of this is tiny. I prefer Sacrificial Pact for the shorter cooldown, but Dark Bargain can also be better in certain situations. In BGs though, this tier is mainly down to your own preference. I use Unbound Will next to break annoying AoE CCs like Priest Fears or Shockwave Stuns, but the Blood Horror can be just as good. Again, this is just down to your preference. Just be sure not to spec into Mortal Coil if you want to go for Blood Horror. Both are naturally horror effects, and they will trigger DR on one another. Moving on to the Grimoires, Supremacy, Service and Sacrifice, any one of these can work for Destruction in Battlegrounds. I prefer Service for BGs as I feel more versatile. I use the Succubus for extra CCs and a knockback. Then I can summon a Voidwalker for his disarm or a Fellhunter for a spell lock if I need it. But Supremacy definitely gives more sustained damage and Sacrifice definitely gives more burst damage. Kil'jaeden's Cunning now only affects Incinerates. Manoros Fury is no longer worth considering. Archimonde's Darkness is, in my eyes at least, the most supreme of the 90 talents now, and being able to throw your Dark Soul cooldown out, knowing you have a spare one just sitting there, is a luxury, and I can't wait until this change goes live. We are basically warriors with 2 recklessness cooldowns. Now brushing over Glyphs, Conflagrate and Healthstone are 2 standard glyphs that I personally wouldn't really consider switching out. If you use a Succubus for BGs, you'll pretty much need the Glyph of Demon Training, so every time your pet seduces someone, it clears all of their dots, meaning the CC won't instantly be broken by damage. Otherwise, the new Havoc glyph can be kind of overpowered in Battlegrounds. It gives your Havoc 6 charges, which means you can throw out 2 sets of double Chaos Bolts with this. This I can see being incredible in teamfights, and it's definitely going to be my first pick whenever I'm not playing with Succubus in Battlegrounds. Now moving quickly onto the arena spec, again Dark Regen is just a no-brainer here. Now, although I do like Shadow Fury, I'm going to probably be using Mortal Coil in arenas as Destro in 5.4, and this is because most comps I play, like MLS or RLS, already have stuns like Deep Freeze and Kidney Shot, and specking into Shadow Fury would just DR those stuns, but being able to coil someone out of a stun while you burst on them is very, very strong. Of course, if you are playing with a setup that has no reliable stun, maybe like LSD, Shadow Fury then is probably still the way to go. Again, I prefer to use Sacrificial Pact due to the lower cooldown. It's also really good against Ellie Shamans I find at the moment, as they can burst so often in arena, so having a short cooldown to survive those frequent bursts is very, very nice. Again, down to preference here, you can spec into Blood Horror to counter melee cleaves that train you. Just be aware, it will DI your Mortal Coil again, so I generally prefer to use Unbound Will, just to break less important but annoying CCs. Onto the Grimoires, Sacrifice is the only real option for Destruction here. Other Grimoires will result in pets dying quite easily, and in Arena, Destruction spec is all about the big burst damage. Grimoire Sac is ideal for increasing that burst. Also make sure to check out my Fellhunter pet guide to learn how to basically have 2 spell locks constantly by using Grimoire of Sacrifice cleverly. The final talent I'll be using in 5.4 has to be Archimonde's Darkness. I love this talent. It's going to be an amazing tool for building pressure and taking kills in 5.4 arenas. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to comment that we won't be able to cast Chaos Bolts without Kil'jaeden's Cunning, but honestly, Kil'jaeden's Cunning didn't help that much, at least not in arenas. If a melee cleave doesn't want you to land a Chaos Bolt, you just won't land a Chaos Bolt, and I feel Kil'jaeden's Cunning doesn't help a great deal at all with that. However, having Howl of Terror baseline, that is the kind of thing which is going to help. Maybe I'm being a little bit overconfident, but anyways, now on to glyphs. Beyond the 2 standard glyphs we talked about earlier, I would suggest Glyph of Demonic Circle. It means that you can push out more often than just teleport back. It's good for both offensive and defensive mobility. We won't be needing to consider Demon Training as we don't have a pet, and Havoc I feel would feel like a risk, at least to me. If you do get a chance to land 2 double Chaos Bolts back to back with Dark Soul popped, you probably just got lucky. The Havoc glyph also increases the cooldown of the spell by 35 seconds, so if you're playing with Mortal Coil, You really want every coil to be a double coil by using Havoc as often as possible to duplicate the spell. And you don't want to be waiting around for your Havoc spell to come back on cooldown so that you can do that. So I'll definitely be avoiding this glyph for arena gameplay at least. Now, gemming is fairly simple to get the maximum damage for pretty much every spec. Mastery is the way to go. Intellect and Mastery in red slots, full Mastery in yellow slots, hit rating and Mastery in blue slots, as having more hit means that you can reforge out of hit to get yet more Mastery. Reforge to maintain 6% hit rating and then go full Mastery, then crit, then haste. Remember, Destro Mastery increases the effectiveness of banning Ember consuming spells, meaning Chaos Ball 2. Stacking Mastery on top of 5.4's 15% damage increase on Chaos Ball will ensure that the spell deals a solid amount of damage. When reforging, I would absolutely recommend the add-on Reforge Lite. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description if you want to test it out. When you click the Reforger NPC, you will get a UI pop-up like this. Now you just uncheck the advanced mode box, click the drop-down menu and change raids to PvP. Then you just click add stat, click hit as it's the main priority, check the box beside it and set the drop-down to spell hit cap. It's simple from here, just add the stats to the priority list in the order we talked about, Mastery, then after that crit, and then finally we add haste to the list. And once you've done all of this, scroll down and hit show. A new window will pop up showing you what reforges are going to be made, and you just click the reforge button from here. I've already done this though, so it's grayed out to me right now, but anyways, that add-on will pretty much reforge your gear perfectly for you to optimize each stat, while landing you as close to the 6% hit cap as possible. Anyways, that's going to be all from me for this 5.4 overview video. As always, I feel a big patch like this demands discussion in the comments section of videos like this, so feel free to do that. It's always interesting to hear your guys' take on things. But I'm going to get back to recording, and I've got some nice projects in the works, so thank you all so much for watching as always, and I will catch you all later.